Welcome, ladies. Today has been amazing so far. Don't you feel that way? I just felt like the Spirit of the Lord is really moving in this room, and He has been all weekend. But this morning I just felt was really, really special. And so, getting ready for this workshop, my husband, he walked up behind me and he put his arms around me. We've been married almost 36 years. We got married when we were 10 and 12. And he said to me, he's kind of snuggling me, he goes, "You're thinking about hospitality, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "You need to be thinking about husbandology." And I said, "Honey," I didn't tell him this, but that would be a whole weekend, not just a short workshop. But anyways, I am so excited to share with you the difference between worldly entertainment and Christian hospitality. That is what I'm hoping you will take away from this today. Entertainment means I want to impress you with my beautiful home, my clever decorating, and my gourmet cooking. Anybody, amens? Okay. Entertainment also is looking for payment. If I invite you over, you'll invite me over, right? But hospitality, on the other hand, is, I have to get my bifocals. Do you have to do this thing? Okay. Hospitality, on the other hand, seeks to minister. Hospitality, it doesn't try to impress, but to serve. It was interesting listening to Kari this morning. I thought, that's exactly, I was just agreeing with her over and over again, some of the things she was saying. Through service, you need to be a vehicle which God's grace can flow. Today I have a few things. I'm going to do a quick commercial. If you have your notebooks, you'll notice you didn't get a handout from me. That's because you have these wonderful notebooks with all this room in the back to write. I encourage you, if you want to take notes, if you don't do that. But you can write down notes in here. Also, I have bookmarks for you with the verses that I'm sharing today about hospitality. And my lovely daughter, Jackie, raise your hand, she's back there. I have 6 children. She is my 5th daughter. And she has the bookmarks for you. And also, I didn't give them to you beforehand because then it's kind of like it's all the excitement is out of what I'm going to talk about. Kind of like Christmas, if you know what the present is, anyways. Then also, I made up some little note cards with little rings on it so you can add to it. But it has 3 of my favorite recipes that I've come up with on my own. Well, actually, one of them has 7 on one page. So it's really some fun things that are real quick that you can put together and hopefully use. So we'll have those when you're finished with the workshop today. First, I'm going to start with Romans 12, 10 through 13. And it says, "Be devoted to one another in brotherly love. Honor one another above yourselves, never lacking in zeal. But keep your spiritual fervor, serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with God's people who are in need, and practice hospitality." Ladies, we have the greatest tool at our disposal. That is the Word of God. I want to encourage you, you've heard this already this weekend, but I want to encourage you again, spend time here every day. And you know what, if you miss a day, and then you think, "Oh man, I didn't read my Bible yesterday," just read it the next day. Don't feel guilty about missing a day. Just pick it up and read it the next day. In here, God has given us a blueprint for how to live our lives and how to be Christ-like in our attitudes and how we treat other people. And that's what Christian hospitality is all about, is serving others the way Christ served. He set the example, the ultimate example for us. So I would just encourage you to spend time here and to learn more. I remember there's a story about a young woman. Her name was Dee, and this is her story. She remembers when her husband, she says, "I remember my husband was looking for a medical practice. I remember being invited spontaneously to a potential partner's home for lunch. The partner's wife's name was Margie. Had no warning, but eagerly welcomed me, opening a can of chicken noodle soup and peaches, and peppering me with questions, making me feel special and interesting. She never apologized for her simple meal, or her simple lunch, or her slightly messy home. She made me feel like a queen. That's what hospitality is about. We're not trying to impress people. Believe it or not, when you invite someone into your home, they're really not looking to see that everything is fit spot, everything in its place. But I'll tell you a few hints if you know someone's coming. Grab a bottle of Windex, go into the bathroom and spray everything down. Take the hand towel that's on the rack, wipe everything down, put on a new hand towel. Ta-da, it's clean. Windex will kill anything. So it's my go-to cleaner. And actually, I do a lot of natural cleaners now that's like Windex, but that works really fast. Don't hide the dishes in the oven. Some of you have tried that, haven't you? My girlfriend did that. Hid them in the oven with her plastic cutting board. Oh, you know where this is going. She forgot they were there and turned her oven on to preheat at 425. You know what? Plastic cutting boards do not stand that heat. And she had her son clean out the oven for her before she could use it again. Another thing I want to tell you, just in case you don't know, just a little food for thought or just a nugget of information, everyone has dirty dishes. Okay? Everyone has dirty dishes. If someone comes to your home and they see dirty dishes, you know that's a sign that you might get fed. But it's one of those things that just happens. You know, if you want to, just kind of throw a dish towel over them. It makes you look like you were attempting to clean them. Or just don't worry about it. Nobody cares. You know, my mother-in-law taught me when she was canning, my floor would be so sticky. You know, you get stuck between the counter and the stove, trying to get between the two, because you get so much sugar on the floor. She said, "Oh, Candy Sue, you just throw a little wet rag on the floor and drag it around with your foot." I thought, oh, that's a great idea. So if I know someone's coming, man, I throw a dish towel on the floor and I drag it around with my foot. Get those hot spots, you know, you get those ones that somebody always spills coffee. It's usually my husband. He's notorious for that. Love him dearly. The Bible tells us that every believer is given at least one spiritual gift. And that gift is for the purpose of building up the Lord's church and serving the body of Christ. In other words, our gifts are not given for our own benefit, but to enrich others. Whether we have the spiritual gift of hospitality or not, it can be part of our way of life. So give it a try. Don't worry about trying to impress someone, right? You're supposed to say, right. Oh, thank you. Okay. I was afraid you weren't breathing. So, we should serve those around us, including the body of believers, family, friends, and even strangers that God sends our way. Hebrews 13:2 says, "Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by doing so, some people have shown hospitality to angels without knowing it." I love the term visitors, folks, or friends, instead of company. When I see the word company, I think of entertaining. They are my visitors, folks, friends, guests. That's how I think of them. You know, God can use people like you and me to touch others' lives. We have Taco Tuesday at our house. And we have a young woman whose name is Hannah. And Hannah is one of my daughter's friends. And I'm starting to get emotional. Anyways, okay, that's gone. Hannah's parents have gone on the mission field. They're in India. And you name it, it has gone wrong for Hannah in her house. Her septic is backed up. Her car's broken down. I mean, you name it, everything has happened. And she knows to come down our driveway. We live on a farm at Suver, and it's a long driveway. Talk to anyone, they'll tell you. We encourage people going on the mission field, come down our driveway so you know what a road is like in a third world country. And Hannah comes down our driveway, and a lot of times she won't make it all the way through the door without breaking into tears. Hannah knows. She doesn't knock. She just walks in. Hannah knows that she's part of the family and that she is always welcome there. Doesn't matter what time, rain or shine, Hannah comes. And usually on Tuesdays, she'll come over and have tacos. She goes, I noticed you have tacos on Tuesday. I go, okay, it's Taco Tuesday. We'll make a new thing. My husband and I took a trip to Colorado, the other sea state. Wait a minute, Mike, do you ever get thirsty when you talk? Okay. Anyways, we went to Colorado, and on our way home, we stopped at a rest stop. It was either in Utah or Idaho. That doesn't matter, but we stopped at a rest stop for the reason one stops at a rest stop. And we stopped there, and we would take turns sitting with the car. And so, because it wasn't our car, it's a long story. Anyways, so my husband had his turn, and it was my turn, and I started to walk up on the sidewalk. And as I got up on the sidewalk, I looked to the side, and there was a woman coming, and we made eye contact. Take time to make eye contact. Don't be afraid of stranger danger, okay? I mean, that's good for kids. Come on, we're adults. And so, we made eye contact, and this woman, she walked up beside me. I said, how's it going? She goes, oh, my poor dog is having such a rough time. I thought the dog wasn't in the conversation. I looked back, and here's this little dog on the sidewalk just shaking. I said, oh, your poor dog. I said, where are you going? She goes, we're going to Oregon. We're in Utah or Idaho. And I said, you are? I said, where are you coming from? She said, Florida. I said, oh my goodness, no wonder your dog is a wreck. I said, I think I would be too. That's a long trip. She goes, yeah, and the dog is just still shaking on the sidewalk. And I go, oh, and I said, so what are you going to Oregon for? And so she proceeded to tell me that her daughter was helping her move there and how she was so worried about moving there and didn't know this and didn't know that. And I said, she goes, where are you from? I said, Oregon. She goes, really? Oh, and she started just asking all these questions. And you know what? It was so cool. I knew the answers. Thank you, Jesus. And I knew the answers. And I was able to share with her some different things about Portland and some different things about Salem. And you know what? We left there, and she walked a little less burdened just by our conversation. Hospitality takes place not only at home, but wherever you are. I thought that was really cool. In the Old Testament world, the practice of hospitality meant graciously receiving alienated persons into one's home, land, community, and providing directly for that person's needs. The New Testament teaches us, though, that our faith is one of open hands, open hearts, and open doors. Isn't that cool? Open hands, open hearts, and open doors. When we open our hearts as well as our homes, we're practicing Christian hospitality. Do you have those friends that you see and you go, we really need to get together? At camp, you probably do. It's been a year since we've seen each other. We really should get together more often. And then next year at camp, you go, it's so good to see you. We really need to get together. We have 4 families besides our own that we see each other a lot, and our kids have all grown up together, and we just all got busy with life. Isn't that the truth? We just get so busy in our own little rut in the road, and we would see each other, we got to get together. So I decided what we needed to do was to plan a time. So about 8 years ago, we started what we call Celebration of Friends. And it's either the end of October, first part of November. We have one day, and our kids, now they're married and they have kids, they all come. So there's like 45 people. It's a celebration. And we all get together and we share a meal together. And one of the recipes on the cards is for pumpkin pot. And it's where you make soup, and it's really good. And you make soup, and then you have a pumpkin all cleaned out and washed, and you put the soup in the pumpkin, put the lid on it, and put it in the oven and cook it. And as it sits there and cooks, You take it out. Oh, it's wonderful. And you take the lid off, and then when you scoop out the soup, you scoop into the pumpkin. If you like pumpkin, if you don't have to. But it's really, really good. My son, who's a teenage boy, and if you all have had teenage boys, you know how they can eat. He gets so excited when I cook that. But it's something, so we have that, and everybody else brings something to go along with that. We have a crazy white elephant exchange. You find something in your house you really want to get rid of that you don't care about. And our rule is it has to go in the same paper bag. So we all use Wearmart is in our town, or Winco. Winco paper bags, no wrapping, because everybody marks their, you know what one you brought, right? If it's a white elephant, you'll mark it so you don't take it home. These are all the same. And I've started noticing some people were folding their bags a different way or stapling them shut. I thought, oh, that's breaking the rules. So when everyone's eating, I go in and switch all the bags around and change them, and they come in, they go, oh, they can't tell which bag is theirs. So we have this crazy white elephant exchange, and then we'll sing worship songs. I mean, you don't have to be good. I mean, it says in Scripture, if we don't sing out, the rocks will cry out in our place. So just sing and praise God. And then a lot of times we'll pray together. And it's just a really special time. And we all look forward to it. And even our married kids will make the time to come home for the celebration of friends. We all have excuses, don't we? Yeah. We make excuses for why we can't do things. We focus on our excuses and not on being hospitable. We think that, well, the kids have to go to soccer or the school, or I have all this going on at church. I can't do one more thing. When we do that, ladies, we miss out on an opportunity to serve others. We miss out on an opportunity maybe to reach out to a neighbor or someone that we don't know. The other day I was in the grocery store, and it wasn't even in my hometown. I was in Salem, and I went into the canned food warehouse, and this little lady walked up to me, and she said, just out of the blue, it was great. I love little ladies, all of you. Anyways, I'm getting closer to that little old lady all the time. Anyways, we better move on. I walked up to this little lady walks up to me, she goes, have you ever noticed how the cake mixes are getting smaller? She points to the box. She knew how many ounces they used to be and how many ounces they are. I'm just glad to know where they are. And I said, you know, it's funny. A friend of mine said that to me. And I said, you know, a friend of mine said the same thing to me. She says, I learned a little secret. Now you all are on the edge of your chair, right? You want to know what this is. She said, you know when you make an oblong cake now, it just makes this little wimpy cake in your pan, so you use a smaller pan, right? She says, I learned that if you buy a white cake mix, are you writing this down? You're going to want to write this down. You just buy a white cake mix. It doesn't matter what flavor you're making. You buy a white cake mix, and you open it. And out of that white cake mix, you take out 5 tablespoons of mix and put it in the bowl with whatever flavor you're making. She says, you mix it up, and it makes a nice big cake. And I thought, that is so cool. Aren't you glad to know that? Okay, a little enthusiasm here, yeah. I just thought that was so cool. And she just came up out of the blue to say that. You know, I could have just looked at her and thought, and not responded to her. But I took the time to talk with her. And you know what? I wasn't in my home. I was out in the community, and someone came up to me and spoke to me, and it just took a minute of my time. But I could tell she was so excited to share what she had learned. That's what hospitality is all about, ladies. It's an attitude, no matter where you are, no matter where you are. You know how it talks about, the verse that talks about, this is the verse I want to share with you. 1 Peter 4:9. Offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. I heard some of you laugh. Okay, look, I have cooked the whole meal. I've done the dishes. I've planned the menu. You guys better appreciate it. Or, I've been doing all of this. Why aren't you guys helping? Does that sound like Mary and Martha, kind of? Yeah. You know, hospitality is just, ladies, that means that you are the one doing it. And it's okay. You can get people to help you, but if they don't, have a good attitude about it. You want them to leave feeling like the woman that D, where they got the peaches and the chicken noodle soup. Leave to where you feel like a queen. You want them to feel like you've been treating them like a queen instead of you've worked really hard and slaved. We don't need to get credit for the things we do. We just need to do them. You know, there's going to be lots of things that go on. You'll have to clean the house sometimes when you know folks are coming, or straighten it if you want to. Yeah. But practice hospitality. Take the time. You know, when I was talking about entertaining strangers. We didn't have power for over 20 years, which is a whole nother story. If you want to know, come see me later. And we didn't have electricity for over 20 years. And a gentleman, we would go to the laundromat to do laundry. I mean, 6 kids, you have a lot of laundry. And I'd go once a week and do laundry. Well, the gentleman at the laundromat, his name was Lyle. And he was the sweetest man, but very shy. And so when he would see us coming, he'd just first say hi and go about cleaning. But one day I remember something happened that broke the door open for us to communicate. He was working on a washer, and I was on the other side putting my clothes in a washer. And he hit a button, and the water shot out of the washer and just hit him right in the face. And I'm standing there, I'm sorry, I have to laugh. I'm standing there and I go, and he looks up at me and the water is dripping off the bill of his hat and off his nose and his face. And I look at him, I just started laughing. That opened up a door and we started just talking. And as time went on, we'd sit at a table and talk while my laundry washed. Then we had donuts together and a pop. Then we would go to lunch. Soon I was making dinner at his home. And he was coming to church with us. You never know what will happen, but my favorite is, he was like a grandfather to our children. And Christmas morning, I would go out and look in the driveway, and he'd be sitting in his car, waiting to see signs of life, so he could come in the house. Those are the opportunities you don't want to miss. Take the time to get to know people. You know, I want to give you some real quick hands-on things. If someone comes over, remember, chicken noodle soup and peaches. Okay, you got those. One of the recipes I have for you is dumped cinnamon rolls. My family, when they wake up, they're hungry. I don't want to wait for 50 or 60 minutes for a coffee cake to cook. Who invented that recipe? I want something I can have now, and with whatever I have in my home. I live 10 miles from town. I'm not going to be able to run to town to grab something. So whatever I have. There's a dumped cinnamon rolls or pan cinnamon roll recipe. That's one I came up with for my family. It takes about 10, 15 minutes to cook, and it's great. I made it for the staff here actually during spring break at Tadmor. Also, I have one for gluten-free. If you need recipes for gluten-free, please, I have a sign up. Just put your name and your email address on here, or if you don't have an email, just your address, and I'll send you a few that I have. My daughter has celiac, so I do understand gluten-free. So just sign up there. Let me see. Oh, my friend Mary, the one that liked the cake thing, she would bring potato salad in the Costco container, and no one would eat it. I said, Mary, dump it in a bowl, sprinkle paprika. Everybody ate it. If you don't have to make it, that's great. Let Costco do the work. It's good potato salad. I keep a big bag of corn tortillas. They're really cheap. They sit on the shelf. They don't have to be in the refrigerator. I grab those out, put some cheese quesadillas, slice them up with a pizza cutter. Ta-da, we have lunch. Potatoes, baked potatoes, people go, oh, those take forever. Not at 450 degrees. You can get baked potatoes really quick at 450 degrees, and they're really good. One mom said she keeps muffin mix on the shelf, so when she has someone over, she can whip up a quick batch of muffins, and her kids think it's a treat because she doesn't make them for them otherwise. One of my girlfriends comes over with her kids, and we've gotten together since they've been little, and we would make Parmesan noodles, because we were both moms with single incomes, and spaghetti was cheap. So we'd cook a pot of spaghetti noodles, and then we would take sour cream and Parmesan, a little bit of garlic, and salt and pepper. Pretty basic. And our kids loved it because they could suck it in and get it all over their face. And so one day we were standing there and we're talking, and imagine I can lose my place when I'm talking, but talking and I'm cooking, and I taste it and I go, something's missing. So I add a little more sour cream and I put in some more garlic, a little more pepper, and I stir it and I taste it again. I go, So I put in a little more of this and that, and then I finally said to my friend, can you taste this and tell me what's missing? She goes, the Parmesan? Yeah, Parmesan noodles, very important. Did you know if you have ever had a recipe with shredded chicken, it's a pain to shred, right? Okay. Or shredded pork to do all that. Here's a secret I learned that is really cool. If you have a KitchenAid mixer, a big mixer, put the paddle on, and when it's still hot, put it in the mixer, turn it on, be sure you have a little cover on, and just sort of hang on to it. It'll dance a little bit, but you can catch it. But it shreds the chicken or the pork perfectly in just a short amount of time. We had the seniors out to our house, and I made shredded pork for them, and it was like I just would cut a chunk off, throw it in the mixer, and then throw it out. Yeah, it was pretty slick. That's one of my little tricks. And the other one is PB&J jam sandwiches. If you only have peanut butter and jam, hey, it's better than peanut butter and butter, or butter and bread. Anyways, bread and butter. There we go. Just take the peanut butter and jam sandwiches, put on the counter, grab a cookie cutter, and cut it out. You will be the biggest hit with grandkids or other kids, or even your girlfriend. When was the last time you served your girlfriend peanut butter and jam sandwich? We've had men working, when they put in our power lines, we would take out little goodies to them, and it was really hot, so we'd take out ice cream, and I'd make them little foldovers and cookies and stuff. And when they got all done putting in our power lines, the foreman came back to me and says, my men never want to come back here again. What? I said, really? Why? They gained too much weight. I said, oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. If the farmer's working out in the field, I take him iced tea. We'll put little treasures in the mailbox for our mail lady around the holidays. And she opens, there's a little box of cookies or a plate of cookies in there. When my children were smaller, we'd go to the stores where we would shop. And the cashiers, they are so unappreciated. They really are. And we would take 2 cookies and put them in a little bag, tie it shut with a little hand-stamped note that said Merry Christmas, and the kids would sign it, and we'd hand them a little bag of cookies. Simple, simple things. I just hope that there's some ways that I've encouraged you today. You know, Jesus set the ultimate example when he said, let not your heart be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. That's going to be the best hospitality ever. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I'll come again and take you to myself, that where I am, you may also be. And that's in John 14, 1 through 3. You know, when people come to my house, the first time they're a guest, the second time they're family, they get their own water glass. That's just the way it goes. They go through my cupboards. I don't care. So I want you all to know, if you're ever in Suver, come by any time. I'm always home unless I'm gone.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am here to piggyback on kind of what Candi was talking about, sharing, you know, how to be hospitable to your friends and your family and even the people you don't know. And can't hear? Sorry. And especially your family, because I really feel like that's the first group of people that the Lord is entrusting you to serve. And I feel like above all, we need to be serving our family as moms and wives and mothers, serving them first. So I have been a house mom for a college Christian co-op for the last 10 years. I never thought I would, be doing that for that long, nor did I think that would ever be something on my radar. But I have been blessed with 2 amazing cultures. I'm half Sicilian and half Hispanic, and food is a big deal to us. Pretty much everything we do is surrounded by food, and so it's a big culturally, it's a huge way to show love to one another. You know, you're feeding them. People walk in, what do? You give them food. That's just how it's always been. I am the 7th out of 8 children, and we just always had food around, and people were always cooking, and we were always eating, and it was just amazing. So when the opportunity came for me to cook for 47 girls, I thought, oh, okay, no big deal. Because at our family gatherings, there was at least 25 of us with all my siblings and nieces and nephews and aunts and uncles and everyone. So it just kind of seemed like a natural progression for me, and it's been great. So with that said, I just want to share a few things with you that I've learned over the years, and just hosting without anxiety, and just being really in the moment when you're serving others. A lot of what Candi said I'm going to probably repeat, but I think that's kind of cool how God gives you something to say, and it's kind of meshes perfectly with the person who's speaking before you. So I think that's great. So I'm going to break this into 2 groups. First group, obviously your family, and then the second group would be just others that you would be serving. Your neighbors, strangers you don't know, non-believers, believers, it's just a huge group. So I'm going to start with that group first. In Romans 15:1-7, it says, "Therefore welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God." And that's really why we serve. I mean, we're serving the Lord when we're serving others, and it's all to his glory. So when we think of hosting a dinner party, some of us shiver in fear. A lot of people think that it has to be about perfection, and their houses aren't perfect, they're not the perfect cooks, so they just don't take on the task because they feel like it's too daunting for them. But hospitality, I feel like, shows up in a lot of different ways, and often we imagine this big to-do list with impossible outcomes, and when we do that, we miss out on a lot of the blessings that God has intended for us, for the people we're serving, and for us. I mean, I have hosted many a gathering where I was extremely blessed, when I was really feeling like I was there to be blessing others. So it works twofold. And we can't get stuck in the notion that, it's only for the gifted. People are gifted in hospitality, and that's not for us, it's for them to do. And I really think that we're all called to be serving one another in that way. And again, if you choose to not listen, or not to react in those ways, then I feel like everyone's missing out on blessings. I have lots of notes. For me, it always comes first with the mindset behind it. So it's not really about who you're serving, but you're serving the Lord first and foremost. And when you have a mindset like that, then, why wouldn't you want to serve the Lord? So you welcome people into your home. Just remember that it's all about extending love. Love always comes first. And, we all know that love covers a multitude of sins and imperfections. And I just feel that if you just go in with the mindset of you're going to love on people, then you can't go wrong. So how do we do this? First of all, it's not about being perfect. Your guests are not expecting perfection, and you should not put that pressure on yourself. I believe the key to hosting a successful gathering is actually imperfection. Your guests will feel more welcomed and comfortable in your home, and more relaxed in an imperfect environment. My friends and I have a no disclaimer rule. If you come to my house, it's as is. When my kids were little, there's toys all over, the dishes aren't done, there's laundry maybe thrown on the couch that hasn't been folded yet, and it's just a no disclaimer. You come in, this is how it is, kick your shoes off, get comfy. Hey, maybe you can help me fold those towels. That's just how it is, and I feel like if you have that already set in place, that this is just our home, and we're living here, and we're making memories here, so that gets a little messy and cluttered sometimes, so just expect that. And I think that it makes, when you go to other people's homes, then you're like, oh, no, that's fine. Sit down and fold their laundry for them. They'll love it. Oh, thank you so much. So some key principles that I always imply when hosting friends is you have to be a part of the gathering. Don't spend all your time in the kitchen while your guests are entertaining themselves and having all the fun without you. That's boring. They're there to be with you, and you want to be with them. That's why they're in your home. So make every moment possible available to spend with them. For me, I like to pick a few recipes that are just tried and true. You've cooked them a bunch of times. You know what the cooking times are, what the outcomes are. You have all the ingredients on hand. It's just a no-brainer. And then you don't have to really be worrying about what you're going to serve. And once you start with those key components, everything else can kind of fall into place. Remember, it's okay to buy items from the store. I do not slave all day cooking, a 7-course meal for my guests. Like I said, I pick a couple things that are really tried and true and look like a big deal, but they're really easy to make, and they're big crowd pleasers. And then the rest you can just buy. There are great specialty stores. I love Trader Joe's. I want to figure out how to get stock in that company because I'm there all the time. They have really great products that you can just keep on hand and use in a pinch. So remember, it's okay to buy some items. I also try to make as much as I can ahead. So if you're having hors d'oeuvres, make that in the morning, put it in the fridge, bake a cake the night before, or whatever you're going to do. Just try to do as much ahead of time as possible, and that will help in the crunch time. And for me, I think a successful hostess needs to be both a Mary and a Martha. We all know that story. Candi talked about it a little bit, but I want to share what it says. We all know Jesus stopped at the home of Martha as he was traveling along, and Martha's sister Mary was seated, of course, at the feet of Jesus, listening intently to every word that he said. Of course she would be. And this made Martha very unhappy. She wanted to be with her guests too. She wanted to be with Jesus. Of course she did. She didn't want to be in the kitchen washing dishes and cooking. She wanted to be with Jesus. So she complained, and Jesus told her in Luke 10:41, Martha, Martha, you are worried and bothered about so many things, but only one thing is necessary. For Mary has chosen the good part, which shall not be taken away from her. I believe it's a balance when we serve, because that is the ultimate act of love. But we also need to be present so we don't miss out on those blessings that God intended that I was speaking of before. So there are a few things you need to think about when hosting a meal. Plan it out. Planning is key. I think whether you're cooking for 100 or cooking for 10 or 5 of your own family, it's just really important to have things planned out. Have a well-stocked pantry. Have a time frame of, how you're going to cook your meal and when it's going to be served and all of that. So just planning. You need to know which of your guests have food allergies, what you're going to be serving to them so they're not, so they're feeling welcomed and loved as well. So planning is the best. But also you need to realize that when you plan, things go wrong. That happens. So just, be able to go with the flow and just not worry too much about the outcomes, because you can always kind of do things on the fly if you need to. And actually, when you have your own plan, not everyone else knows your plan. So they don't need to know that, I was going to serve a chocolate cake, but I burnt it. So we're just going to have the berries now with some whipped cream. It's totally fine. They'll never know. Make a time frame, like I was saying. So I always like to plan it out, whether it's in my head or if I actually write it down. I cook for a lot of camps and stuff like that, so a huge whiteboard with a exact time frame works for those kinds of things, but even for like with my family, I have like Post-its that I write and stick up on places, or it can just be in my head as well, like, 4 o'clock, get the roast out, set it on the counter, season it, whatever, put it in the oven, cook the broccoli at 5, not 4:30, because it's going to be cold when the roast is done. Just simple things like that. And once you start doing that and thinking that way, it's just a second nature to you, and you'll just do it automatically. Which leads to number 3 on my list. Invite your guests to help you in the kitchen. I've never once was hosting a dinner party or a gathering at my house where someone didn't come up and say, "Oh, can I help you? What can I do to help you?" Take them up on that. They really want to feel like they're a part of the gathering, and they want to help you, and let people do that. You can have some really intimate, meaningful conversations when, you're peeling potatoes right next to someone at the sink. It's casual, it's kind of an intimate time. Just take people up on that, and it'll make you less stressful and make them feel like they're really a part of what's going on. Number 2, focus on 2 great, easy-ish proven recipes like I talked about before. You need to just have a few in your back pocket that you can just pull out, and you just know how to cook them and how they're going to taste and how many portions they serve. It's just good to have. I really love roasting things in the oven. I feel like it's a great time saver. Like Candi was saying about the potatoes, yes, roast potatoes at 450. They come out amazing and really fast. But you can put your meat in all at the same temp, put your meat in, put your potatoes in a little bit later, I love to roast veggies, so you just chop them up, throw them on the pan, olive oil, throw them in. It's all done at the same time, and you don't need to stand over the stove, cooking. You just need to kind of peek in at it every once in a while, and it does make your house smell amazing too. So utilize those, your oven, your crock pot. If you have a crock pot, brilliant, especially if you have little ones at home. When my kiddos were little, I would just throw a bunch of stuff in the crock pot in the morning and didn't have to worry about it until the end of the day. So those are really good items to have on hand. And rice steamers. I cook so much in my rice steamer. You can steam veggies in it. I cook quinoa in it. Who wants to wait, 2 hours to cook brown rice on the stove? You just throw it in the crock pot, in the rice steamer, and it's done in 45 minutes. That's just amazing. And again, you don't have to sit around and wait on it. Number 5 is buy good quality items to accompany your meal. A great crusty loaf of bread. They have some amazing salad mixes out there that even come with a dressing that you can just put together at the last moment, put it in a pretty bowl, and you're good to go. I love just like kind of browsing through the grocery store and maybe some specialty stores and just picking out a few fun items that, like maybe a really cool jar of olives or something like that you can have on hand in your pantry just to pull out if you get a surprise guest or something like that. For me, and I think most people, we want to create a wonderful, intimate gathering where we can extend the hand of fellowship and love others as Jesus loved us. In the end, it's all about how you make people feel. In the end of the day, all we have is love. I mean, showing love, getting love, but even more important, feeling love, how we make people feel when they come to our home. We want them to come back. We want them to feel comfortable. We want them to just treat your home like their home. My dad, that's where I get my Hispanic side of my heritage from. He always used to say, "Mi casa es su casa," which means my house is your house. I have a big plaque of it painted over my door, and people know that this is a comfortable place. My house is your house, and yeah, I kind of do expect you to help me fold those towels on my couch when you come in. So, but also know that you're going to be served, and that's a great feeling to have, is when you know that people can just come come to your door when they need something. They can just walk in and they know that you're going to be there to love on them, and that's just an amazing blessing for everyone. So make love the focus of all your gatherings, and the meal is just a side note. I mean, everything will flow from that, I believe. So, which leads me to the last part, serving your family. See how much time I have? I have 10 minutes, good. So as a mom, I've raised 3 amazing young men who love to eat and eat a lot. But when they were young, I sometimes felt a little flustered when, it was time to put a healthy dinner on the table. My mindset way back in the day when I was young, I was consumed with the food that they were going to eat because I was really all about making sure, my family ate really healthfully, and I was being a good steward of our finances, for our budget, and, just all of that. And it really did consume me until one day I just realized that it just, like not entertaining people or having people in your home, it's not about the food. It's about the experiences that you're providing for those people. And so I realized it was about the experiences that we were providing for our boys, just being around the table and interacting with one another. I realized it wasn't at all about the food, but about the experiences, the traditions, the memories that we were creating for them. The food was important, of course, because we, like I said, wanted to feed our family, really healthful meals and getting the most out of our budget. But in the end, it was really about the experiences. And yes, my kids still have their favorite meals. They're 26, 22, and almost 18 now. And their favorite meals when they were growing up are the meals that they request when they get their birthday meal. So some things do kind of stick in. And that's pretty neat to know that all those little things you were doing way back in the day are, kind of still in their head, and they remember that. But they really do remember most all of the experience that we had. Our table discussions, our prayer times, we always did best and worst part of your day when the kids were little, all around the dinner table. We cried a lot at the dinner table. We actually fought, yes, too, at the dinner table. It's all those things that bond us and make us stronger as families. A lot of that stuff happens around the table and around food, because food is very powerful. So I want to encourage you to make the most of the time you have been given. Be concerned with the moments, because all those moments make up sweet memories that you will hold on to for a lifetime. And now I'm going to get emotional. Maybe someday you will smile when you see your grown kids recreating some of those same experiences for their families around their tables with their, new spouses in their homes with, their children. It's pretty great to see that. So here are a few tips I've used to help with this aspect. Some of the same things I use in hosting hundreds of people, I do with, when my kids were little and hosting for your family. Plan ahead. I always found it helpful to make a weekly dinner menu. We always sat down on Sunday afternoon and wrote out the meal for the week. The kids had their input. We had 3, so I'd say, okay, you each pick what you want for your meal for, the week, and then that left me and my husband, and we were good. So I think including them in that is pretty, oh my gosh, my phone keeps going off, is pretty important, just because you want them to kind of be a part of that. And we had a pretty picky eater. My middle son was a very picky eater, and if he, got to choose, at least there was one meal during the week that he just loved. It was usually mashed potatoes and baked chicken, but whatever, he ate that and he loved it, and he felt like empowered to be, choosing some of his meals throughout the week. So plan ahead, planning's key. I also felt like that really helped with our budget because I only shopped for what was on our meal plan, and then like whatever extras and like school lunches and stuff like that, what we needed for that. So I really felt like it really helped. We weren't buying like stuff that we didn't need, or there was a plan. So it wasn't like, oh, we need all this stuff because I don't know what I'm cooking this week, so maybe I'll use this. So our budget really benefited from it, which made my husband very happy. But also it made me feel like I was being, a real good steward of our money, and we didn't really waste a lot of food because there wasn't a lot of food to waste. We just cooked what we had and we ate it, and it was great. So planning ahead and doing a menu was really key for me as a mom. A few more other things. Make a time frame again. So it's very, very helpful. It assures that all components of your meal are ready at the same time, and it's kind of comforting to know that things are all planned out and you don't need to worry about it. Even if it's all in your head, you know what you're doing. And there were a lot of times where we stayed at the park with our friends on play dates because we'd stay till 5 because I knew what we were going to have for dinner that night, and it was a great thing, or food was already in the crock pot ready to go, so I didn't have to worry about that. And it just helps, I think, with your time framing and your time management, really. I think the most important component is letting your kids help in the kitchen. Yes, this takes more time, more patience, of course, more creativity, and yeah, there's a little more mess to clean up in the end, but such a huge memory maker and so worth it. I also found that when my kids helped, like I said before, that they ate what we cooked because they were a part of it. And even my picky eater, who, when it wasn't his meal, would kind of squawk at what we had prepared for dinner, and we'd say, well, you helped cook it, so it's got to be good, right? And that worked. Like, he ate green beans because he helped, snap the ends off of them, and reverse psychology works really well sometimes. So just stuff like that, I think, is really important just to help make them feel like they're a part of it. I would give them small tasks, chopping veggies. We bought, at Halloween time, they have those pumpkin carver knives that are pretty sharp, but they're not sharp to the touch. So we had a few of those laying around, and our kids would chop carrots with those or potatoes, and they worked really well, and they couldn't get hurt, and it was just a great, they had their own little cutting board that they would work on. And so things like that are really great to get them involved in helping. I think it's important to make that special time that's one-on-one where you're doing things together. I know that we all, hang out with our kids a lot and we have quality time with them, but I think just showing them, day-to-day tasks and what you do. And for me, especially raising boys, I felt like that was really important, that they were in there, cooking with me and cleaning with me and, doing the dishes and all those types of things that I wanted them to contribute as well to their households when they grew up. So it's great. My oldest son now he's married, and he cooks all the meals in their home. His wife doesn't cook at all, and she's kind of happy with that because Andrew's, he learned just from cooking with me that he likes to do it. So, and he's good at it too. So he does that, and he takes over Thanksgiving once in a while, and it's amazing. It's just pretty cool to see that just carry over into your kids. It's just all great. It's such great stuff. So one of the things you have to remember is it's really about the relationships and being together. You can make a bowl of cereal for dinner, a special occasion. Sometimes we had a bowl of cereal for dinner, and the kids thought that was really awesome. Just light a couple candles and whatever, it's a great meal. Cut yourself some slack. It's okay to have cereal sometimes for dinner. No one's going to die. Your kids will love it. It doesn't matter as long as you're all together around the table, laughing, praying, crying, living, and making memories with one another. So I'm going to leave you with this. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do it all to the glory of God. And I feel like if that's your mindset, how can you go wrong? You're just serving the Lord. And that's really ultimately what we all want to be doing anyway.